Hey, happy Wednesday. Today is going to be a little bit fun because we're taking a look into my super ADD brain. So if you know me well, you know that I tend to have a bunch of random thoughts that occasionally all come together into this great aha moment, right? So this happened to me this week, and it's interesting how these things are just like little seeds, and then eventually you just go, oh, hmm. So what I want to talk to you guys about is something that's really important because most people don't think about it. So please, please, please stick with me. But I have a lot of weird ways of getting there. So first off, I was in an accident last week. It was not fun. Everyone's okay. But I thought it was hilarious and a little bit sad that my husband decided to leave the gym to be there. Not because I needed him, not because the car was not drivable and he had to come get us all, but because he felt like he needed to protect me. And more so other people from me. So, in his words, I guess the closest I could kind of shorten it would be that I'm too nice until I'm not. And sometimes that's a problem because people will take advantage of that and walk all over me. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I am a raging bitch. Yes, just said that. Bear with me. So, of course, I'm sitting there like, thanks for the honesty. That's definitely a personality flaw. I see where you're coming from. But so he comes over and he's there, just shows up, looks a little angry like he does most of the time because that's just his face, crosses his arms, stands there like this. No one fuck talks to me. It's great. It's great. But then, of course, I'm like soul searching, like, what is wrong with me to where he feels like he has to do this, or either someone's going to take advantage of me or I'm going to really, really make someone angry, right? This is in my brain for a couple days, just simmering. And then we are driving yesterday, took a trip about an hour away. And as we're going along, I'm looking at the billboards because I'm being a passenger princess, and that's what we do. We get bored, we look at the billboards. So I'm seeing these billboards, typical real estate, loan officer, attorney, car accident, car insurance. And I'm noticing a trend that everyone is super sweet and super nice, and we just want to help. And oh, this loan officer loves loans, and this real estate agent wants you to really love where you live. And it's all about finding the perfect place and making sure you love it. And everyone's so happy and nice. And then here comes this attorney billboard, and he's like, I'll fight for you. And I'm dying laughing because all of this is just so cliche, so cheesy. But why is it that this is what we think of the industries? So then I'm sitting there thinking, maybe this is why people don't take us seriously, because in reality, it is a culmination of all of this, right? I'm sorry, I can see that I have like this one piece of hair here and it is driving me nuts. Okay, back to being sane, I think. But we just have this idea that real estate agents are nice and friendly, and they might find you a house and they'll open the door and they'll do some paperwork, and then maybe they'll get you a closing gift, a hug, and it's just all happy and it's great. But then when you look at an attorney, a little bit intimidating, not someone you want to just call and chat with, but they'll get the job done, right? My husband, the person who knows me the most, said about my personality, why is it that we portray ourselves as weak? And not that friendly is weak, but I do see this as a trend in the industry, is that no one really understands what all goes into real estate. The word negotiations, that's the same thing as an attorney going to court. It is the exact same thing as an attorney going to court, except the difference is there's not always something black and white to point to and say, hey, this is the law, this is how it should be, which of course there are gray areas in law as well. But in real estate, you are hiring someone to look out for your best interest, get you the best deal or the most money or pay the least money, however it may be. And they need to have a little bit of oomph behind them, right? So while I do always want to help and I'm friendly and I want it to be a win-win, you better believe it that I am coming for my clients and their interests, right? So, and it's funny because I notice that I don't do a good job of portraying this on the front end, and people tend to see it later and they're like, oh, okay. But I am 100% that person that we're in final walkthrough. They're like, oh my gosh, the fridge isn't here. I thought we wrote in the fridge. Where can we get a cheap fridge? Nope. Are you bringing the fridge back or are you buying one at closing? Because those are the ways that we're closing. Period. It's in the contract. It is what it is. And so I think a lot of times it's that aspect of real estate that people don't see, that at some point you are going to be a bitch. And if you're not, you're just not doing your job. Now you can do this in a respectful way. It's very much like, hey, I see the fridge is gone. I'm sure it was a mistake. It's been a while since we signed the contract, but contractually it needs to be here. So how are we solving this? There's a way to approach it in a nice way, but you hold your ground and you get it done. And I think people don't always see that. So I do want this to be a quality that you are looking for in an agent. I know everyone's sign is like, we're super sweet. This one that I passed, I'll say it because it's not in my area, so it's a lot easier versus calling out billboards I see here. And I love these agents and I don't want to target them. But there was one that was just like, live where you love. And she's going like this. And I'm just like, that doesn't tell me anything about like what you would do to help me and why should I hire you? So just please, please, please pay attention to that. And this is where my brain starts making these clicks because again, I'm thinking of this as a personality flaw. And then I see all of these billboards and start thinking, why are we looked at in a different light? And then I realize, oh, I'm good at what I do because I have that personality. And I know when to lay off of it and when, okay, it's gone too far. And now we need to actually make something happen. Now the approach is different. And that's where, thankfully, in business, it's a lot easier than when I have my kids in the car and someone's being a jerk to my face in front of my children. And then, you know, modeling, you do better every time. But yeah. So the best way I would equate that in parenthood, because, you know, that's also a lot of my life. I have 4 littles, is, you know, how when your infant or toddler just becomes an alligator and they barrel roll every time you try to change a diaper and it's horrible and you hate it and you're like, oh my God, why is this so hard? It used to be easy. That's real estate. That's what happens. Everything's smooth. You know what you're doing. And out of nowhere, bam, they're rolling and you have to fix it. So when that's happening, you know how it is when like a first-time parent has that very first roll, they're like, oh my God, and then there's poop everywhere because they don't know what they're doing. You take that same roll and watch it in like a daycare and early learning center where this woman has been changing toddler diapers for 30 years and they're in an assembly line, just got it handled. That's real estate. So if you get someone new, that's fine, but make sure they're with someone who's been doing it for a while and knows how to do the whole line of barrel roll diaper changes in the real estate world, because that is basically how it feels every day. It's madness and we love it and we're here to fight for it. So these are all the weird things that are in my brain. I have me in an accident. I have attorneys and realtor billboards. And then I have this toddler issue. My infant just started rolling too. So now I get to do two of them back to back. Super fun. But all that to say, I am so sorry that everything that is put out in the world is we make real estate easy. We make buying a home simple. We make it so fun. You're going to love this process. It's so exciting. Guess what? Sometimes it's not. Of course, it's an exciting moment, but the process is hard. And if you don't do it all the time, it's hard. It's a pain in the butt. There are new things coming at you that you've never heard of. You really, really need someone who's in the trenches all the time and knows what's going on. Because guess what? That is the equivalent of you being the first time parent, being taught how to change that rolly diaper by that veteran who has been changing diapers for 30 years. It doesn't need to be 30 years if it is great, as long as they've kept up on education, because things change. But you really, really, really need someone who knows what they're doing and who's going to fight for you. So, working on my super punchy billboards. That's a joke, really bad joke. But yeah, just welcome to my brain. And just know that when you hire me, I am going to be nice, but I'm also going to make sure that I'm looking out for your interests. If you are not in an area where you would hire me, there are agents like this all over. I know, because they're super sweet on Facebook. And then we talk and they're like, this is what I got for my client. And it is amazing. And I wish that they would show that side more. So there you go. That is what all of these random things have in common, is that they come together in my ADD brain and they work for you. So if you have any questions about what negotiations look like, what you can push on, what you can't, it is all really situational. So yeah, if you have a situation, if you are working with an agent, please don't bring that to me. That is their job. And I do not overstep boundaries like that. But if you have hypothetical questions, or you're thinking about selling and like, what if a buyer does this? Or you're thinking about buying and I just don't know if I'm strong in this area. What do I need to do here? Those are all things we can work through. So bring me your weird situations and I will tackle them, because that is what I'm good at, tackling toddlers and real estate contracts. So I will see you all next Wednesday. Have a great one.